And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens for the fourth time, the queen of police procedurals, Ms. Tracy Clark, live from Chicago with the inside scoop on Fall, Book 2 in Detective Harriet Foster series. Tracy, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Hello. Thanks for having me, first of all. Fall is book 2 in my Harriet Foster series. And it follows Detective Harriet Foster and her dedicated homicide team in Chicago. And in this case, they are looking for the murderer of aldermen, local politicians in the city. And the murderer is leaving 30 pieces of silver on each body, which is sort of the betrayer's payment. And this dedicated homicide team have to figure out who's doing the murders, why, and have to do it all in the middle of February in Chicago. And that's Fall in a nutshell.
My mic, good. Okay, hold on. Tracy, my mic was muted. It was stuck. Okay, so I hadn't heard of the betrayal payment. That was brand new to me. My mic keeps magically muting itself. Some ghost is possessing my computer. But I am so excited to talk to you, Tracy. I want the inside scoop on all the things. We are broadcasting live to 6 different destinations. So, hey, mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday, and because Mondays can be murder, we're going to get your week off to a killer start. So if you're new, welcome, friends. We're so happy to have you. And if you're wondering how this works, just get your questions going for award-winning author Tracy Clark. In the comments, I'll get them right over to her. We have Renee joining us from Facebook saying, hi, Sara and Tracy from chilly Southeast Florida. I'm betting it's not as chilly as Chicago or Boston.
I would, yeah, a good bet.
Renee's like, I'm freezing. It's only 72.
Really? Oh, come on.
You better be cold. Renee, Randy joining us from YouTube saying, hello, everybody. Hi, Randy. We have Erin Alford joining us from Facebook saying, hi, Sara and Tracy. I'm so excited. My paperback copy of Fall was waiting for me when I got home today. Yay. Okay, Erin, I need to know what you think of Harriet Foster book 2, because let me tell you something. I love it. I love Harriet. I love this book. I need to know all the things. Tell me what you think. Renee's giving us a mic drop. She's ghosting us. She's too cold. Renee, tell us how cold you are. We don't believe you. Okay, so Tracy, in this book, you take on a serial killer leaving the betrayer's payment. I didn't know what that was. And to be honest, I didn't even know what an alderman was. So tell us all the things. How did you find out about this betrayer's payment? Is that like a thing? How did you come up with it? Tell us all the things as you unravel this serial killer.
All right, first for pantsers, there is no thing. I mean, there's not a thing until it actually shows up on the page. There is no plan. We fly by the seat of our pants. That's how we do it. I don't have an outline. So all I had when I started Fall was the first body. And now I have to figure out who put it there, why. And as I was writing the first scene of the body there, the dime sort of popped into my head. And so once I have it in the first body, I've got to, of course, I've got to put it in the second body and the third body. I think I killed 3. So yeah. And then you have to sort of create a story around that little thing, that little detail. So, and that's how I do it. Page by page, paragraph by paragraph, sparks of inspiration. I have no plan.
But one of your POVs this time, Tracy, is an incarcerated woman, an incarcerated elder woman,
right?
And she's just getting out after serving her 5 years. That was really interesting for me. I don't think I've seen an incarcerated POV from you before.
No, and it was sort of fun to write because, I can imagine being in that situation. You've been in there, 2 years or something, and you've left your entire life behind. A husband, a child. Can you imagine that kind of fear? Not only the fact that you're free, great, wonderful for you, but you've got a lot to clean up. So you're getting out through that gate, and then you have a mess that you have to clean up. And I found that intriguing for me as a writer to sort of figure out how she sort of gets back into that dynamic.
Yeah, because she has to, this, as you said, clean it up. We're talking about a mom with a very angry, betrayed
As you can
daughter,
imagine, yeah.
a very angry husband who has cut off, who has not brought their daughter to visit her because it's best for the daughter, or is it better? Is it best for him? Maybe both.
Exactly.
And who doesn't want her to come home into the house? And I was thinking, when her best friend picks her up in a car from prison, how very painful that would be, because I hadn't given a lot of thought to what it would be like in terms of reckoning with the family members, hurt, angry, sad friends and family of incarcerated persons. What was your process like into that? Did you, because I know you always do your research, you interview a lot of detectives, police officers, I'll look at your acknowledgments to see who you thank, and the list is always thorough. What was your process for that?
Nothing. I'm just looking at the characters. I'm just imagining what that would be. I didn't do a lot of research into incarceration because I don't do a lot of it. I mean, she's just at the outtake desk. She's gotten her stuff that she came in with, and she's going out through that door in that gate, and that's where her story starts, because now she's got to rebuild, and now she's got to reconnect, and now she's got to figure out what she's going to do with the people who've maybe helped her sort of get there. And so I found that sort of an interesting jumping off point. What do you do when you've lost everything? And she's lost pretty much everything, her job, her law license, her family to a certain extent. And then she's got to figure out what she's going to do. And I kind of like that jumping off point for not only that character, but for other characters too. Harriet, her partner, her homicide team, her boss, all of these people have stories to tell. And it's interesting for me to sort of dig in there, to go beyond the badge or beneath the badge and figure out who these people are when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So when they're not copying.
Ooh, yes. Because speaking of losing everything, Detective Harriet Foster has suffered the greatest loss of all, the murder of her child. So she, who is in charge of keeping other people's children and all of us safe, herself has suffered the greatest and most painful loss that she continues to reckon with, even having to show up at the murderer of her child, of her son's murderer's hearing to see if he is eligible, parole hearing. So speaking of losing everything, here we have two mothers, one on each side of the law, reckoning with that. And then we also have, but we also have the development of, she hasn't lost everything because she has a new partner, which we saw her paired with in Harriet Book 1, Vivian. So tell us about that. Where do you see that going?
Well, I think Lee sort of saw her coming through the door the first time and sort of recognized this fact that she's sort of a broken place. And she has made it her mission to sort of bring her back. So she's her partner. She needles her constantly. She's always pulling her as Harriet is pushing back. And I sort of like that push and pull between the two of them. I think that relationship is probably the central foundational thing in the entire series. I mean, whether or not Harriet can sort of make her way back and or Lee's going to let her or help her, I kind of like that thing, that little tension, that conflict. They sort of respect each other. They're not the same, but they're sort of helping each other out of this hole. So I kind of like that tension, that crackle.
Ooh, crackle.
Yeah.
And when is Tracy, this many books in, is that how you know when you're nailing it? Do you get a crackling feeling?
I can sort of hear it. I can feel it, whether or not it lags, that something has to be put there. Maybe I spent a little bit too much time on that when I should have been over here. It would help if I had a plan or an outline, like the normal people do, but I don't. So I have to sort of feel it. I hear it. I can sense it. I know when something is missing. And so that sort of helps me along. And the great thing about crime fiction, too, is it sort of has an outline of its own. It's sort of linear. The cops are not sort of making it up as they go. They have a procedure. And so step 1, step 2, step 3. And that sort of helps me write it because I know, well, the cops will probably do this next. And so that I know I have to go there. But that's about as far as I can sort of plan ahead. And I just feel it out. If it feels great, wonderful. If it's got some crackle and some tension and some spark to it, I know I've sort of hit it. If it doesn't, I know I have to go back and sort of refigure and figure out where I went wrong and go again. So It's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of ping ponging around. It's a lot of tension. It's a lot of Twizzlers that I used to.
I forgot we both love Twizzlers. It's all
Right.
coming back to me now.
So a lot of Twizzlers, but I sort of get it done. It's feel it out. I'm done when it feels okay, and then that's the best that I can do.
I love it. Well, clearly the best that you can do is quite good, Tracy, because Publishers Weekly Award, Library Journal awarding you a starred review, raving Clark's second Detective Harriet Foster title, After Hyde, provides a compelling plot as well as significant character growth. So again, hitting those components, those various components of your writing. The lead detectives are new to each other and building trust. And readers will become invested in the fragile bond they currently have, as well as the mystery surrounding Foster and her former partner. Again, a starred review. Congratulations on that,
Thank
Tracy.
you.
And they are not the only ones raving. Kirkus, I'm going to pop that up so we can all read it together as well. Also, a strong review here saying deeming this a worm's eye view of the city. I love that, talking about your ability to get in there on the darker side of the Windy City. They said marinated. I love these words, marinated in savory civic misdeeds. Yum. So I love that review. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Erin saying, I like where this series started. Harriet has experienced a lot of both good and bad things. We find her in the middle, and I like that. Well said, Erin.
Yeah, Erin.
Tracy, tell us about what your thought was in starting Harriet, quote, in the middle, not starting us with, when she was a married mom.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting where she has to make the choice. If I started it at the beginning, then she's got several steps that she has to make before she gets to that decision-making process. She would still be grieving. She would still be fresh. And she would sort of still be in a different place. If I started it at the end, then we missed all the good stuff, all the juicy crap. So I started it in the middle, where she's got to make a decision. She's got to decide whether or not she's going to stay where she is, or whether or not she's going to advance, and whether she's going to at least try and to sort of dig herself out. So I think middle's good. Middles are kind of a sweet spot for characters because you've got avenues, right? You can go this way or that. And so everything is new, everything's fresh, everything's possible. So I like middle. Middle's good. Middle's messy. Middle has a lot of tension and conflict. It's just wonderful information and stuff to use.
Many avenues, just like downtown Chicago, one might say.
Right, exactly.
Welcome to the conversation. John joining us from Northeast Ohio. Welcome. Renee saying, I pre-ordered this book, Tracy. I am looking forward to getting it. Hooray. Renee, let us
Thank
know
you.
what you think. I think you're gonna love it. I love all of Tracy's books. So I can't wait to hear what you think of Detective Harriet Foster #2. And she also says, congratulations on all of the accolades. Absolutely. These reviews are so amazing. Again, a star review from Library Journal. So great. I want to remind you all that you can order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, no matter where you're watching from, on Facebook or YouTube. You can click this link and order Detective Harriet Foster book #2. And here that link is, whether you're watching on Facebook and YouTube. Grab Harriet #2. That is fall, and let us know what you think. Tracy, I think the fun for me of a police procedural is that I get to put on my, metaphorical detective hat and grab my magnifying glass and feel like I'm being on the case and try to figure it out. I did not figure it out in this book. That ending, who the killer was, caught me by surprise. So as a pantser, when did you figure it out? No spoilers, obviously.
Probably about one chapter before that. I mean, seriously, I'm just sort of batting back and forth. Really, it takes me, first of all, I'm a slow writer. Okay. So I'm really meticulous and slow. And so when I know I've made a mistake, I kind of know it pretty early. And so I can always just go back and sort of revision and sort of whatever. I didn't know who the killer was. In fact, it changed in this book. I thought I knew who the killer was. Then I found a better angle and sort of changed it. And so now then you have to go and reconstruct and sort of plant the seeds before. And then so I knew the murderer by the time I got to the fact that that was the person, probably one chapter before that. And then of course I have to spend the time now. I have to stop and sort of go back and sort of all the way through. So this one's sort of slow and sort of meticulous, and oh, there's the surprise, and then okay, now we have to fix a lot of things, and now we can go forward again. So yeah, there was a lot of that in fall.
Wow. Okay. So the chapter before is when
Yep.
you figured it out. Okay. So she revealed herself to you. Renee saying, what was book one called again? It was Hide. She says she loved it. So yeah. And Tracy, you don't have to read this in order, do you? Although you can.
No, you don't. I just sort of mention what her traumas are and what she's dealing with very vaguely, but it's mostly about the case in fall. But if you want to read in order, fine. I usually do when I read series. I kind of like to start where the characters start, but you can read it in any order you want.
Yay. So book one in the Detective Harriet Foster series is Hide. And I'm going to pop that link in the comments as well for anyone who wants to grab Hide before they grab Fall. Here is that link. So grab Hide right here. Then you can grab Fall. Erin saying, my copy came from Murder by the Book. They are the best. Yay. Thank you so much for supporting woman-owned independent bookstores. Erin, that's so appreciated. Thank you so much. Renee wants to know, how long did it? So I'm curious to hear that you consider yourself a slow writer, Tracy, because to me, you're churning them out. So Renee wants to know, how long did it take you to write this? I'm curious too.
Well, they gave me 10 months and I use every second. I need every freaking second of that 10 months. So fall took 10 months exactly. And every book that they give, whatever time they give me, that's what it takes. Because I don't want to give anything back. I want to use everything that I need. And so, yeah, 10 months, 10 solid months, right to the day.
But then you start editing.
Well, I usually edit as I'm going because, that's, again, how my brain works. So when I get to the end, it's pretty much kind of in shape, unless something changes, like the murderer. So yeah. So 10 months, start to finish. That usually includes the revision. And so, yeah, so at the end of 10 months, I'm ready to send it off, and my fingers are crossed, and I hope it's great.
Renee says, that still seems quick to me. Renee, right? I'm like, 10
It
months.
seems quick. It's quick to me, too. It's quick to me, too. 10 months, kind of quick, but that's all the time I have, and I use every second.
Wow. Oh, that's so great. That's so great. So Tracy, can you tell us, will there be a Harriet Foster book 3?
Actually, I'm finishing book 3 now. The 8th of January is my deadline for that, and I'm going to use every second. So midnight, January 8th, that's when I'll email it off. But yeah, I'm finished with it. I'm going back over it now to make sure I didn't make any monumental mistake. I probably did. I'm about 2/3 through, and it seems okay to me, but what do I know? And so I will be finished on the 8th of January, and then they will tell me what's wrong with it, and then I will make the changes. So it's called Echo. Same homicide team, Harriet and Vera Lee, and they are looking for the killer of a college-age boy killed in a sort of a hazing accident, or that's what they think it is. And so they have to figure out what happened and who was responsible. So that's Echo in a nutshell, and hopefully, it'll be out next year.
Hey, oh, this is so great. Renee is saying, yay. This is so exciting. And you heard it here first, folks. Echo is book number 3 in the Detective Harriet Foster series. Erin saying, yay, to another Harriet book. Oh my gosh, I think we're so excited. We have IB joining us from YouTube. They want to know, does the stress of the deadline affect your writing process or your nerves? I would be a nervous wreck. You seem pretty cool, calm, and collected.
Well, once I sit down, it's sort of, when I'm not writing it, it stresses me out because I know how much I've got to do. When I'm sitting there in front of the laptop, it's all story. So once I sit down at 5:30 in the morning, that's my time. I'm into Harriet and the story, so I don't stress that point. It's afterward, when I figure out I'm only on page 12, and I've got 300 and some odd pages that I still have to do, and I only have 7 months to do. So as the time is eaten up, I get more nervous, but it all gets done eventually.
Thank you for the great question. Melissa joining us from Australia via Facebook saying, I haven't read these books, but I certainly will now. It sounds great. I think you'll really enjoy them, Melissa. I love Tracy's books and I love police procedurals. So it is so, let me know what you think. Erin wants to know, is it too early to pre-order Echo?
Oh, come on, Erin. You haven't even read the first one.
Not yet. Not yet. I don't think I checked. There's not a pre-order link. I just checked. There's not a pre-order link up yet, but there will be soon. And then Tracy, you've got to come back. Wait, when will that one come out?
I guess next December, 2024.
So you're on this December schedule. How
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, it makes it hard for sort of book things. You sort of traveling in the airport and with 17 inches of snow, but May would have been kind of nice.
Yeah, no, you're in the cold Chicago, the cold part of your book, so it makes sense for you to be a December book, I think.
I guess, yeah.
Erin saying, I will always be excited for a Tracy Clark book. You and me both, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
Tracy, when did you start getting interested in police procedurals? Has it always been police procedurals?
No, I kind of like the PI genre, really. That's sort of my sweet spot. I like the sort of snarky, loosey-goosey sort of, PI thing, but cops are fascinating to me too. They have to sort of walk a fine line, don't they? I mean, they have to follow the law, and they are the law in representation. And it's sort of interesting for me to sort of look into the lives of female detectives and figure out how they sort of do what they do and why. And so I'm finding it really interesting to sort of delve into that. When I get stuck in terms of procedure, I ask. But generally, I'm looking at character and why they are doing this tough job. It's a tough job. And I can't imagine anybody wanting to do that, just, voluntarily. So it's fascinating to me. Yeah, I love it. I'm really getting into it.
Yeah, and Tracy's ex also in that detective world.
Yeah.
What made you think of that?
I don't know. I just, again, Sarah, we've gone over this. I have no plan. Things pop into my head as I'm writing them. If it's interesting and it has some crackle to it and some tension, I keep it. If it's dud, I leave it, I dump it and go for something else. So that sort of came to me as I'm writing this character. I mean, she's got levels on levels of complication. That's what I like with characters, even the secondary ones. I don't want flat people. I want people who've got this rounded life, these challenges, these monkeys on their back, whatever it is, something that complicates their day. Something that makes it interesting for the reader to sort of dig into. We give them sort of flat characters that don't do much of anything. We don't have any thought life. They're boring, and you sort of, space out. So I want characters that have got a lot of stuff, a lot of trauma, guilt, whatever, responsibilities, whatever, challenges, whatever. Anything that sort of messes it up and sort of puts that churn in there. I love churn.
I love that. Erin saying, Renee saying, complex characters are fun to read. Absolutely, because there's so much to think about. It's
right.
Exactly. There's so many layers. So your brain is crackling reading them. Erin saying, snarky, loosey goosey. That is Cass Rains would be one of my most favorite PIs ever. I love Cass Rains too,
Yeah.
Erin. Renee wants to know, are you in the city, Tracy? She says her oldest niece lives in Highland Park with her family.
I am in the city. I am on the south side, which is the best side of the whole entire city. So south side of Chicago, that's where I live. I love it. And Highland Park, that's quite a ways, suburbs.
My friend Angela,
Chicago adjacent.
My friend Angela grew up on the south side. And it seems like, if we go back to the Kirkus review, really talking about your ability to and also your reviews on the first book in the series, Hide, and your Cass Rain series, they always take place in Chicago, and to the point where the city itself feels like more than a setting, feels like a character. So will you always set your books in Chicago, Tracy?
Well, I don't know. At the moment, yeah, because that's the city I know best. I live here. I've always been here. I know the bits of the city that are interesting. It smells nice. It has a nice vibe, a nice sound to it. I love it. Corruption lives in Chicago. And if you cannot write a great crime novel here in Chicago where crime, has sort of a hotbed, you can't write it anywhere. I love the city. I love its complexity. I love the people who live here. And so, yeah, for the time being, Chicago's my spot, and I'm going to write about it.
It seems like I read Devil in the White City a couple years ago, and it seems like corruption is as synonymous with Chicago as is, you know, the Great Lake and the wind. Why is that, Tracy?
I don't know, but it's lovely. So you can open just open the paper, and there it is. We've got aldermen right now on trial for corruption and fraud. It's wonderful. Our governors go to jail. Our aldermen go to jail. It's wonderful for crime novelists. Not so much for taxpayers and people who live here, but for people who write about it and write about crime. There's a lot of fodder here to sort of write about.
A lot of fodder. And then Marin shared at one point, and I actually read this sentence a couple times, that she had gone to prison for a 2 martini lunch and $5,000. So it's not like we're talking about millions of dollars or something.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it works here. I mean, you see the aldermen. It defies imagination. They go to jail for $1,500 or some stupid thing, and they spend years in there. It's not like quite even. I mean, if I'm going to prison, I'm going to prison for stealing $55 million. I'm not going for 1,500. All right, but this is the people that we're dealing with. We have 50 aldermen. That's 50 wards. That's 50 opportunities to take an envelope under the table, and our city is rife with it. I mean, so I kind of write about what I know and what I see.
Oh my God, that's so funny. IB saying your brain and passion for the characters shine. Do you ever feel like the characters are developing and doing things faster than you can get it out on the paper? Like, do you have to tell them to slow down? Absolutely. Your brain is just crackling with ideas over there, Tracy.
It's usually me who has to sort of catch up. I mean, the characters, once you put them on the page, do what they're going to do. All I have to do is set the scene, and then they go. I know it sounds kind of weird and like it couldn't possibly happen that way, but it does. I sort of start a scene. I put the characters on the page like I would set a stage or something with actors on it, and then they go, depending on whatever needs to be done. So I often sort of sit back and sort of follow. Kind of like a dog on a leash, but I'm the so yeah, there I am. I'm waiting for them to do something. I'm transcribing it as they do it. If it's interesting, it stays. If it sort of sits there like a dead fish, then I know that I have to fix something and sort of go another way. But yeah, characters first, story then follows, and then if I'm lucky, it'll be something that I can sort of work with and use.
Renee says real life in Chicago could keep your brain working well for writing. Indeed.
I know, right?
Your city's providing you plenty of fodder there.
Yep.
You guys, the book is out now. Fall, book 2 in the Harriet Foster series, and you can order your copy from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. Thank you so much if you've already ordered for Murder by the Book, and we can't wait to hear what you think of Fall, or Hide if you missed book 1 in the series. And here again is that link. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, click and order now, friends. Get yourself in the Windy City, as Kirkus said, for a worm's eye view of the city. Here is that link, Facebook and YouTube. Y'all, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having this much fun. Tracy Clark, award-winning author, thank you so much for joining us for the Inside Scoop on Fall. I'm so excited to hear that there is a book 3 in the Detective Harriet Foster series already in the works, due to the publisher January 8th. Go, Tracy, go. We're all cheering for you and sending you Twizzlers. Chomp those Twizzlers and get to work. And I can't wait to have you back next December for what we now know will be called Echo. Thanks for spilling the tea on Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Y'all, thank you for spending your Mystery Monday with me. I hope your week is off to a killer start. May the pages fly and the days fly faster. I will see you next Monday for our last Mystery Monday of 2023. Erin saying this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you, Sarah and Tracy. Renee giving us hearts, saying thank you. We love you guys too. Thank you so much. That is a wrap for us. I will see you next Monday.